Cities are growing faster than ever, and the way we move through them is changing. From metros and high-speed rail to intelligent transport systems, mobility today is about much more than just getting from point A to point B. Today, we're speaking with someone who's worked across countries, collaborated closely with governments and diplomats, and helped deliver large-scale mobility projects across metros, railways, ports, and airports. From Bengaluru to the world, this is a conversation with Shivaa Rajesh on sustainable mobility and the future of cities.
Shiva, thank you for joining us here today. How does Bengaluru feel this time?
First of all, thank you for having me. Bangalore feels extraordinary. The weather has been very rewarding. I've not felt sweaty since the time I came. So Bangalore is very close to my heart because I grew up here. So every opportunity that I get to come back here, I do appreciate it a lot. I spend some time with my parents, meet friends, even though it's very brief visit, only 2 days. I'm happy. Thanks to Indigo, by the way, for making that visit shorter.
Yes.
But yes, I am glad to be here.
You're an expert at global sustainable mobility solutions. Can you explain in your own words what is it that you exactly do?
Yes. So it has been a journey. I started out at a smaller level. Now, mobility, the definition of mobility and sustainability in itself means different things when you talk about it at different levels. So starting my career out in some of the companies that I did work with as a project manager, looking at not even at a project level, but at a subsystem level, mobility and enshrining sustainability in it meant optimization, meant research and development, having better technology to do things in a more optimized way. So that was the initial period of my career. Then having AI and IT driving mobility was the next part, which is that it allows a better degree of optimization because you have more visibility on how the systems are working, and having the ability to compute allows you to see where your losses are and make corrections for it. So that was the next part, which was more at a higher level, and predictive maintenance solutions were just debuting, and I worked on one of the world first projects between Florence and Bologna for a high speed. At that level, again, it was driven by IT. Today, sustainability in mobility for me means more about policy level decisions, about the integrated transport policy of a country. I'm glad to be a part of some consultation groups, and I think that is where you make the real difference. Apart from, of course, technology, which allows you to reach 60-70%, the real impact comes when sustainability in mobility is enforced at a policy level. Why do I say this? Because you could, of course, having a metro instead of people commuting in their personal cars is already more sustainable. But what is the kind of adoption that you're driving by having a public transport infrastructure being installed? It depends on the adoption of the people who are using cars rather than people who are using buses. So the knack would now become, how do you drive that kind of adoption? And there's a lot to be done. Again, I only talk about the IT perspective because we have to have good customer experience, trust. Unlike the Indigo experience where we lose trust in a public transport mode, the consistency of the service, and also this has an impact on how things are done in the back end. It means that your critical assets like the metros itself or buses need to be available. There needs to be minimized failures, etc. So what I do today is basically sell systems to different countries, to different public authorities that allow you to maintain these kind of readiness, let's say. So sustainability itself is not directly targeted, because that is irrelevant still in many countries. I don't want to go to a country in Africa where they're still thinking of their first metro and say, oh, increase your project budget tenfolds to have a more sustainable uh, design and construction itself. They'll tell me to go away. So I always am a firm believer that business interests drive all decisions, and we are not in the phase, the good old days, where the non-tangible, intangible elements also played a role in decision making. Today, it's all the accountants that drive the decisions, truly speaking, and we have to adapt to that market. So, being a good salesman and also having in the back of my mind my prerogative, I sell systems that do tackle sustainability at a large scale by giving the power of control and observability of the systems to the authorities. And I also do other small things like allowing maybe trainings, helping them in the operations, etc. So this is my primary employment, we can call it.
I see. So, if you could share some more light on what exactly is sustainable mobility, because it is not just about net zero, like reducing carbon footprint. So, what are some things that go behind designing a sustainable mobility, and what are some things that people usually overlook?
Well, sustainable mobility is driven by the concept of net zero. That's where you would like to reach. It's theoretical with the kind of physical constraints that exist with the kind of technology that's present today. For sure, we are nowhere close. But there are two very important elements. The way the energy is managed, that really makes a massive difference. And the way the energy is, let me not call it energy, the assets are controlled. So these are the two big pillars of carbon footprint generation, if we can call it that. From design stage, of course, what is overlooked is the carbon footprint generation during operations is considered generally, but during the design and construction is overlooked. This is one area which is something, when you do the carbon balance sheet, this is something that everyone overlooks, because this is massive. And if you actually do consider this, it doesn't look good. So that is one thing. But to be realistic, we are improving, and we are getting into the Western countries are investing a lot into research and development to find the answers on how energy can be managed better. So for a simple example, just to shed light on this, electric buses is becoming a big reality now. There have been many studies on this. What is the impact of mining these minerals, these ores that are used to create these batteries? I think in India we are using nickel.
Lithium.
Have we moved to lithium already? I don't.
We have, to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, lithium's better. Nickel cadmium, not really, because a study showed that having a nickel cadmium battery to power something as big as a car is as bad as running that car on diesel for 3 years.
Yeah,
right.
Because we have to also factor in the equation, right? The cost of obtaining these rare earth materials and also to dispose this.
And the pollution caused
Yes.
in the extraction process itself, the kind of, because no one treats the effluents produced in the mining of these minerals. So when we look at that, of course, that is one part. Let me talk about the operations. How energy is managed. You can either have a big battery that allows you to do a whole day of trips, but it would weigh, I don't know, a ton.
Yeah.
Or the new approach is have a very small battery but quick charging facilities at every stop. So the battery is only charged for that next trip.
Hmm.
So, well, when you think about it, does it really make a difference? Maybe you think it doesn't, but when you talk about 10 years of operations of 500 buses, massive numbers,
Mm-hmm.
massive numbers. You're not lugging around a ton.
Hmm.
So right there you have a big difference. So it's a change of approach.
Hmm.
No, it's not something where you have, of course, technology is needed to support it. Quick charging did not exist at that pace to support this kind of energy management.
Hmm.
But as and when new technology is coming, these kind of optimizations
Hmm.
make a massive difference.
Hmm. So you have traveled the lengths and breadths of the world, right? And you have seen how mobility is addressed in different parts of the world. So according to you, which countries are getting it right? And what can India learn from it?
Well, which countries are getting it right? They are right in their own sense,
Hmm.
solving their own problems. The replicability of such a solution may be possible in a European country or dare I say an African country. But in India,
It all comes down to cost.
it all comes down to cost, and we have kind of numbers that only China has.
Mm-hmm.
And people underestimate the population of India.
Very true.
The kind of numbers that we talk about in India are just unfathomable. I mean, if we take this population and put it in a European system, that system will break in a half a day.
Yeah, because just Bangalore's population is the population of an entire country in Europe.
Exactly. So we are not the focus is completely different. Over here, it's all about managing the volume. There, they have different challenges, quality, experience, time of service, all of these things. Of course, I'm not saying that the infrastructure is not stressed over there as well, but they don't manage anywhere close to the numbers that we manage. The only country that comes close that we can learn some lessons from is China, and also some very interesting projects in Japan. The idea, the reason why things work better is because of the behavioral aspect of the population itself. Generally speaking, because of very strict laws and very severe punishments for non-compliance,
Mm-hmm.
people are well behaved. People act in a predictable way. Now, that is a very key element when we are designing all the things, all the decisions of a railway, of a metro. Something as simple as a passenger door. Does the project need to have an additional glass blockade? Does in Bangalore you have 2 security guards per platform? Now, we the idea the cost of these things at a 10-year scale is massive always.
Yeah. India is not for beginners.
India is not for India is
Because
not for beginners.
I don't know if you know this, but there has been several cases of suicide of people jumping into metro tracks.
You see, the kind of this is not normal. These kind of, when you manage these let's say diversion from processes, the exceptions, usually we have 10%, 12% of occurrences that could be classified as an exception in a foreign project. Not over here. These numbers go way higher. People are very creative when it comes to trying out new things to purely to I don't know, save money or save time. And it is something that causes a lot of issues when designing systems and impacts sustainability as well. So, I mean, I don't want to talk about it, but if someone kills themselves on a metro track like that, of course, no one is thinking about sustainability at that point. But the kind of impact that it generates is not nominal at all. And this is something that is very specific to the Indian context. And that's why we cannot really borrow a lot when it comes to the process of the international community.
Hmm.
What we can leverage upon is the technology, which we are doing very well. As you see, a lot of international companies are flooding in, and they see the opportunity. Many left because of the challenges that you talked about. Mitsubishi, as I understand, has no more interest in Mitsubishi Electric has no interest in doing business in India. So these kind of realities do exist, and it is definitely going to be a very um, difficult thing to tackle at a project level. As I always maintain that these things are always well addressed at policy level. Adoption of usage of public transport. That is something that we can learn from countries like Saudi, where the biggest driver of metro adoption was not the quality of the trains, or it was how bad the traffic was. Now, no one thought, if when the project started in 2015, no one thought that a person where fuel costs next to nothing, you can own a car for basically peanuts with such wonderful roads. No one would have thought that a metro system made any sense, but today it does make sense. I don't know if it was done by mistake or if it was genuine vision that drove the decision of a metro like that. But you see that what they did is they enforced the adoption using policy level changes into the society, having benefits for people who use the metro, charging parkings. Now that's a change of policy. When you have to start paying for parking, then you start thinking, is it better I take the metro? So these are the kind of very small changes that lie in the background, but they really drive the way people will think and choose in adoption. And I think that will be the biggest driver of sustainability.
I definitely agree with you on this. I would say the mood is just about the same here in Bangalore as well. Because let's say I'm an IT employee and I have to go from here to Whitefield. Now I can be sure if I use the metro that I can reach my office in about 1 hour's time. But that's not the case if I take out my car or my bike.
Exactly.
And I would say that metro is one of the best things that happened to Bangalore. And it has very good adoption rate. And I can be certain that I will reach a place in a stipulated amount of time. At the same time, I also have AC, right? In a hot climate, that is also very important. So metro is something that we should be really proud of in Bangalore.
Absolutely. And in India, I see that the kind of infrastructure projects, mobility is the prime driver of growth of an economy at this stage of maturity. The right mobility infrastructure, and I talk about logistics, I talk about the ability of a person to move from place A to place B in a stipulated amount of time to render a service will drive the growth of economy in this country massively. And the right decisions, I believe, are being taken. And that's why I frequent India now to see where I can wet my beak, so to say, because there is a significant amount of budget that's being spent on such projects. I think around 14 metro projects that are being developed across the country. And I feel that there is a lot that is being done. Also the road systems, the new highways. And that's why I believe that India is, when we talk in the context of mobility, doing the right things, but also doing it in ways that people could never have imagined and costs that people could never have imagined. So this is, I think, a learning for the world, because doing a project in Europe would definitely cost a lot more than doing an equivalent project here.
Yes.
And the quality difference is not so vast to justify that kind of a gap.
Yeah.
So
if you have seen the latest metro trains that have just been released, it is like of global standards. It is really good.
absolutely. I must commend BEML, which is I think winning a lot of contracts.
And it's all made in India.
Yes, all made in India.
Yeah.
And they have developed this competence. Of course, learning from the best, with the technology transfers and everything. But as you say, to have covered the learning gap of 40 years in a span of 15 years
Yes.
is commendable.
Very true. So you're somebody who's at the forefront of mobility and you've been to all around the world, right? What does the future hold for mobility? So how do you think, let's say in the year 2050, how will humans be moving?
I think mobility itself will change the concept, because today, and you told me about Blinkit, and it's always surprising. It is allowing the rendering of a service at a very granular level. Now, when that happens, the need for mobility for a person reduces,
Yeah.
but for a service increases. So people moving will go down. There, I foresee, and I think that will be the logical way how things will work. Decentralized cities, no more of this clogging up in one place.
Yes.
We have remote work. There's no need to travel.
Yeah. That is already happening on a massive scale here in India as well.
Here in India, it's
People are choosing to go back to their native places,
native
hometowns, and then they're just working from there. They're breathing better air.
exactly.
They're not having to go through this traffic every day.
So you see, we are doing it before 2050, but I think it will go back to that. The fundamentals. Only people who are dealing with real manufacturing, maybe even that will be automated. So person can,
with the advent of AI and robotics,
potentially control remotely the CNC machines and all that. So very little will be needed from a man's physical presence. And because of that, the movement of the man won't be so exhaustive as it is today. However, the opposite is true when it comes to goods. Goods will need to be more in transit. We are talking bulk transit and also micro logistics, drone delivery systems and all of these things. So our infrastructure on that side will need to improve. This is one area where we are heavily dependent on manpower in India. But that needs to be revived based on, again, the right vision.
So when we were in the 90s, right, we always dreamt of having flying cars.
Yeah.
Right? And if you have noticed in the recent times, many countries, including China, they've already developed drones which are capable of ferrying people across the city. And they've also made sure that it's really safe. And the cost of operating that is also really, really low compared to a private jet or any flying, right? Do you ever see that happening in the near future, like where people own private drones and they just fly out of their houses?
It will be, again, it's a technology constraint. When energy is handled better, it will happen. Today, the cost of having a drone at a personal level is still not justified. And the batteries, they are battery operated, so they don't have the same flexibility that you could get with other means, paying the same amount of money. So I think when the technology reaches a point where you have denser energy capacity, energy storage at lighter weights, we are definitely looking at adoption. But then again, there is the policy matter. There needs to be a lot of research done to understand how
the flight paths,
exactly, the tunnel, the corridors that need to be defined. How is it going to be controlled? Accidents are more severe when we talk about in the air accidents. So all this will definitely take a while, because at the end, cost of adoption is one thing, but cost of incidents is also another thing. What does it mean to people on the ground? What does it mean to the disruption that will be caused? We have to reach a more mature state in terms of technology and policy to govern such a phenomena with so many degrees of freedom.
Right. As somebody who has been to multiple continents and having to deal with diplomats, governmental agencies, and basically high profile people. What goes on behind these high stake meetings and deals? What are the negotiation dynamics like?
Well, that's a very tough question because it varies too significantly to generalize into one thing. Of course, I am a firm believer. I said it already, and I say it again. Profits drive all decisions, and that's especially true at a higher level because um, that is the only thing that you can quantify and look at and feel. That being said, there are definitely a lot of perspectives that you learn when you talk to such people who have handled decisions that mean life or death. So the perspective of how they even approach a problem is very, very, very different from how I would have looked at a problem, because we always look at the nose, but we don't look at what's in front. And that change comes when you even look at how subconsciously these people think. Apart from that, these are people. They are good generally. They are generally good, and as long as it does not interfere with their interests, they are supportive of the intentions why I'm generally meeting them, and that is to discuss mobility projects, fundings. And funding comes when they see a business case. And again, that is the definition of profits drive all decisions.
Would you like to share any special instances or experiences that you've had over the years?
Well, I've had many. In the business negotiation sector itself. I think, let me not go to an instance because it's too, may not be too relevant, but let me share a learning on by after meeting so many people. I think it was the way they looked at time. And how money meant something else for them. And we look at all these very expensive restaurants where you can have a meal for $5,000-6,000 per person. It never made sense for me. It never made sense. Why would someone pay that kind of money for a meal? I'm still very happy to have meals at Swati restaurant. And I'm very happy with the kind of quality and taste. Right?
We've got the best food in the world in Bangalore.
Absolutely. And at a very subsidized price, affordable, generally doesn't get me sick. So good. But and these places exist now. These kind of restaurants are rampant. Even in Bangalore, you have several which cost a lot. It is the value of time. A person who is so aggressive in every minute of his life means a couple of $1,000. He is looking for convenience. The first thing. No, not the first thing is looking for the time. It's close by. He's usually staying in that. But more importantly, he doesn't want things to go wrong. It's his meal. What are the chances of him wandering outside and finding a bad meal? It does exist. There does exist a good chance. But at a 5-star hotel, it may be less salty, it may be less flavorful, but the chances of food going wrong in these expensive places
probability is low.
Very low. And then the last thing is that if he's doing something, he values the experience. Now, that perspective was something very novel to me. I never could have reached that by just living life, I suppose. It is something that you can only reach by living a certain kind of lifestyle. And I thought at the end they value time a lot more over money. I mean, even people who can buy a private jet, there are better ways, faster ways, not faster but better ways to travel. But one person who owned a private jet quantified it for me, saying that if you're taking 200 flights every year, and every flight you spend 4 hours to get to the airport, do all your things, and go through the procedures, sit at the lounge and wait. Of course, you have good facilities, but he values that time. 4 hours into 200 flights is roughly 25 days. He said, imagine a close member of your family is about to pass away. What would you give to spend that 25 days with them? That is the value of time.
Right. So before we wrap this up, what are some takeaways that you can give us and our audience regarding the future of sustainable mobility? Where do you think we're headed towards? What's happening?
Well, there's a lot of research happening, and again, driven by business interests. We see Tesla, we see BYD that is even coming up with a better alternative for lithium batteries. So I believe that we are heading into the right space when it comes to sustainable technologies for managing energy. And that when, of course, application of such tech is not easy. It needs bright minds. And I think Indians will be at the forefront of driving and, actually applying such technology around the world. And we have been. We have been the workforce of the world, in the US, in all the major projects. I don't believe you will not find an Indian in any of the major projects around the world. You will be surprised how many Indians I meet in far-flung areas that even locals are sparse, but you have some Indians there. So we will continue that trend globally, supporting the adoption of, not adoption, but driving that change, providing the manpower needed, the intellect to position such tech. We have now a lot of good institutes that is doing some real tremendous work in terms of the research. Of course, China is also our competitor when it comes to this. And we are well positioned in the world because we are a very reliable partner to all of the countries, safe, predictable, neutral. So, and we have a very long-term vision when it comes to the mobilization of our manpower. We are taking some good steps in creating the right level of intellect needed to provide the world with a functional workforce. We are not so good at application and some other things. We are very good at theoretical elements because of the kind of formational years that we have. It's purely an exam centric.
Very true.
So we are quite advantaged in the next 20-25 years. Our demographic dividend will drive a lot of countries in the world. And so we will be at the forefront of these sustainable projects, infrastructure development projects, mobility projects. So I see that India is well placed for this. And locally speaking, I believe that we are very creative people and our solutions will be very, very different from what the world will do for their problems.
Yes, that is very reassuring. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
And hopefully we can do more such episodes.
Definitely.